to the Scottish Friendly Children's Book Tour 20th Anniversary Jamboree! Have you all been enjoying Chris's drawing? It's quite good. I think you have a future in illustration, Chris, if you try very hard. That's excellent. My name is Shan, and I'm your host for today, which means that I'll be coming on and introducing people and then taking them off at the end once they've finished their time. So we are so excited that you are all here. There are over 2,000 children in this room. Can you go, what? What? From 75 schools. Can you say, wow? That is amazing. Now, I don't have time to talk to all of you individually, so after 3, can you all shout the name of your school? 1, 2, 3. I got all of those. Someone has a very long school name over there. That was longer than everyone else's. And not only do we have all of you amazing people in this room, but there are people watching. It's worth it though, Chris, it's worth it. We do have people watching from their schools and home on YouTube as well. So can everyone turn? There's a camera over there. You can see a little red light. Can everyone say hi? Hi! It's Chris Riddell! Chris Riddell's here. Okay. Thank you, teacher at the front, for shushing 2,000 people. You're very good. What's your name, teacher? Please, okay, so Mrs. Pollock is in charge of shushing from now on. Very good work, Mrs. Pollock. Now, before we go any further, we are so glad that we're here, but I just want to tell you why we're here. So all of the authors that you're going to see today have been driven around Scotland on the Scottish Friendly Book Tour. They've talked to so many different children in so many different classrooms all around the country. And so here to tell us a little bit about Scottish Friendly and the book tour, can you please give a very warm welcome to Callum Benny?
Thank you. Hello, boys and girls. Well, this beats being at school, don't you think? 20 years ago, there used to be a mobile library van called Rediscovery. The mobile library van was lying empty, its wheels were just about falling off, and it was in an old car park in Edinburgh. It had no fuel in its tanks, and also it had no authors or books in it. So the owners of the Rediscovery mobile library van, they got in touch with us. We're called Scottish Friendly, and we're an investment company just up the road in Blythswood Square in Glasgow. And they asked if we would like to sponsor a book tour taking the van all over Scotland. They asked us if we could stock it up with books and fuel, but most importantly of all, to stock it up with authors, and to stock up the authors with enough curly-whirlies and smarties to keep them going over the country for a week at a time. So we did, and the tours were a great success. The Scottish Friendly Children's Book Tour van has travelled the length and breadth of the country over the last 20 years, and over 100,000 pupils have seen all the authors that we've got. Maybe some of your relatives have even been on the book tour. But today, the book bus is having a day off, and instead, 75 buses have brought you guys all here so you can see 6 great authors and illustrators at work. Have a fantastic morning, everyone. I'm sure it's something that you'll never forget. And here to get the show back on the road, I'd like to pass you back over to Shan. Thank you.
Thank you, Callum. Thank you. Thanks very much. Okay, so you probably already know this, but now I'm going to tell you who we're going to be watching this morning. So every time I say a name, can you do a really big clap? Okay, really big clap. So first up, we've got Chris Riddell. Very good. We've got Jacqueline Wilson. Cressida Cowell. Pamela Butchart. Wow! And the Etherington Brothers. Wow! You guys have got this. You know what to do. Well, first up, we should probably come over to the man who has been drawing here studiously. Oh, that's beautiful. So this is Chris Riddell, everybody. He is the former Children's Laureate. He has written and illustrated so many books that he will be talking to you about it today. And he's never spotted without a very, very sharp pencil in his hand. So please, could you give a very warm welcome to the amazing Chris Riddell?
Thank you. Oh, my voice is suddenly very loud. I really enjoyed that. It was really good fun, just sitting and drawing as you all came in. That was fun. And I quite liked, I think there was someone leading a little chant, Oggy, Oggy, Oggy. Yeah, fantastic. I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed writing things down and hearing you read what I was writing down. It was like the most amazing echo. I like that. That was quite good fun. Now, I started drawing a very, very long time ago, and I love drawing. And I remember one of my sort of earliest memories was drawing when I was, I think I was probably about 3, and I had just been given some lovely, lovely crayons. I think they were Crayola crayons, lovely, big, thick Crayola crayons. And I just remember taking my crayons out of the cardboard box they came in, and it was a rainy afternoon, and I just remember having just a lovely, lovely time sitting with my crayons. It was so lovely, all afternoon with my crayons, just scribbling over my dad's study walls. It was really lovely time. I think that was my first piece of artwork. And then after that, I got into big trouble when my dad got home. He wasn't pleased. And so after that, my mum always made sure I had lots and lots of paper and pencils and pens and crayons, so I had something to draw on that wasn't the wall. Very important lesson. And so I was one of these people. I would take a lovely sheet of paper, and I would take my pencil, and I would start to draw something, maybe just the beginning of an eyebrow. I'd look at that and go, oh, no, that's not right. And I would just throw the paper away and get a completely new sheet of paper. And I would start again and maybe just start with just the tip of a nose, just beginning, little tip. No, that's not right. And I would just discard that paper and get a new bit of paper. And I'd just start beginning of an eye. Oh, no, that's not right. So I made lots and lots of mistakes. And every time I didn't draw something I liked, I just got a new piece of paper. And I never ran out of paper. It was amazing. My paper never ran out. And it was only a lot later I realized what was happening. My mum, when I threw away the pieces of paper, she'd collect them all up and she'd just cut out the mistake and make 2 new pieces of paper, or cut out a mistake there and make some more clean pieces of paper. And so I never, ever ran out of paper, but my paper just got smaller and smaller and smaller as I went on. You see, I didn't notice. And then I discovered this amazing thing. And I've been showing you, as you were coming in, this amazing thing. And here it is. This amazing thing, a sketchbook. I discovered a sketchbook. And I say to anybody who wants to become an illustrator, a writer, anyone who wants to be creative, I say get one of these. Get a sketchbook, a notebook, anything you can find, as long as it's got blank pages, and just fill it up with lots and lots of drawings. Just draw and draw and draw. And don't worry about what you're drawing. Just draw and draw. And I say anybody is allowed to look in my sketchbook. If someone comes up to me and says, that looks interesting, what are you drawing? I will let them see my sketchbook. But I always ask one question first. I always ask whether they're a trained psychiatrist. Because I'm not sure I want to know what some of these things mean. I mean, it's just me having fun, just drawing and drawing and drawing. And I love drawing. When I'm sitting on a plane, I love drawing. When I'm waiting for a train, I love drawing. When I'm in the park on a sunny day, I love drawing. And I think it's really good to be one of those people. You should try this. Get your notebook or sketchbook, go somewhere, sit down with it, and draw in it. And then instantly you become that really interesting person who's drawing something in a notebook. And people go, oh, they must be thinking of something really interesting, because look, they're drawing in a notebook. How brilliant. So I say keep a sketchbook. Now, sometimes it's difficult to get started, isn't it? And you think, what can I draw? I don't know what to draw. I've got this sketchbook. I don't know what to draw. Well, I've done this book. This is a special book. It's called Doodle a Day, and this is a book to get you started. If you're not quite sure, what to draw, and you're thinking about how you might draw. Now, this book is a book full of things to help you start drawing, and it supports Book Trust. So I like this. If you buy this book, all the money goes to Book Trust, which is lovely. And it's a Doodle a Day book, and in this book, you can just draw whatever you like each day of the year, but you can do some coloring in if you're in the mood to color in. You can add some extra details if you want. You can add some clouds. You can give Lady George more hair, so you can develop a drawing like that. You can sort of add some fish in the ocean, but this is a book just to draw and draw and draw and draw. And if you draw every day, you'll start to forget about what you're drawing and making mistakes and not doing what you think you should do. And you'll just find new stories and new ideas and new things to do. Doodle a day. And I love drawing in my sketchbook because I'm never quite sure what I'm going to draw. And so one day I was drawing in my sketchbook, not really thinking about anything. This is one of the lovely things about drawing in sketchbooks. You don't necessarily have to be thinking about anything. You can just start to draw, and then something starts to develop, and you think, oh, that looks quite interesting. I'm not quite sure why I'm drawing this, where I'm going with this. Who knows that? Oh, look, there's another eye poking. Oh, it seems to be quite a lot of hair. And you suddenly stop and think, my goodness, I've just drawn my daughter Katie. How weird is that? And that can sometimes happen, because what Katie used to like doing when she washed her hair, when she was a little girl, she had very long hair, and when she washed it and it was still quite wet, what she would do is she would brush it over her face. Brush her hair over her face, so she just had a curtain of hair covering her face, two little eyes looking through the curtain of hair, and then she'd come downstairs into the sitting room and give me a fright. It was just a thing she did. It was funny. And so I started to draw this character, and I thought, I bet this character has a story. And that's another thing that happens when you're drawing and sketching. You can draw a character, and you think, I wonder where this character comes from. I wonder who he is, what he does. And so I thought, I'll give him a name, and I called him Mr. Munro. And then I thought, well, he needs maybe a friend, so I drew a little girl as his friend, and I called her Ottiline. I thought that would be a nice name for Mr. Munro's friend. And then I started to think they must have a story of some sort. There must be something that they're doing. So I started to think of stories. And when I think of stories, what I do, the first thing I do is I do some drawing. So I drew the place where they lived. I drew an apartment building where they lived, and then I decided that Mr. Munro was Ottiline's best friend, and her parents were traveling the world, so Miss Munro looked after Ottiline and looked a little bit like my daughter Katie. And just like Mr. Munro, Katie had very, very large hairy feet. Okay, I just like to tell people that. So I just started to develop this whole story all about Mr. Monroe and Ottiline. And then I did this thing that I often do in my sketchbooks. I just thought, I wonder if I wrote these stories, what the stories might be called. And so I just thought, right, the first one, because it's all about Ottiline, will be called Ottiline and the Yellow Cat. I just liked the way that sounded. I just thought that was fun. I just wrote that down. And then I thought, well, Ottiline, you know, might have more adventures. So I thought maybe the next book could be called Ottiline Goes to School. I thought that sounded quite interesting. You know, there could be a story there. And then I thought, I know, what would Ottiline do next? I thought, no, Ottiline, I know, at sea. Ottiline at sea, that sounds an interesting thing, maybe that. And then I thought, another story. What about Ottiline and she's met the yellow cat? What about Ottiline and the purple fox? And what happens is, when you write down these things in your sketchbook, it feels like the books actually exist. And I put my book away, and I put the sketchbook away, and I went on and did other things, and then about 3 years later, I was looking through my sketchbooks, as I often do, and I came across this page, and I saw these titles written down, and I saw Mr. Monroe, and I saw Ottiline, and I thought, I must write these stories, I thought. So I did. And so I sat down, and I thought, I can't change these titles. This is going to be the story I wrote. So the first book I wrote was called Ottiline and the Yellow Cat. And here it is. It now exists. It's in the world. It's great. And there's Ottiline. And this book is all about a yellow cat. And then I wrote the next book, Ottiline Goes to School, and in that one, Ottiline Goes to School. And then I wrote Ottiline at Sea, and this one's a really interesting one, because in this one, Ottiline is at sea. And then I wrote this one, and this one is called Ottiline and the Purple Fox. And yes, in this one there's a purple fox. There he is. He's a purple fox. He lives in a very, very nice trash can, very lovely trash can, a little bit like this one, but much nicer, much nicer. Doesn't have Theresa May in it. And Ottiline meets the purple fox, and the purple fox takes Ottiline on adventures, all sorts of adventures. And one of the adventures that Ottiline goes on, Ottiline is walking through the city, and she actually arrives at a really interesting place, one of my favorite places to visit. And it's a special place. It's called a bookshop. There is Ottiline at a bookshop, and she goes into the bookshop, and she sees some books she recognizes: Bimble the Bunny, The Sad Tale of Lionel, Whistle of the Wild, all books she loves. And then the lovely bookseller says, I think you might like this book, and gives Ottiline this book. It's called Goth Girl and the Ghost of a Mouse by Chris Riddell. Ottiline takes that home and reads it. So that is Ottiline and the Purple Fox. And I just want to finish with one last thing that I often do in sketchbooks. I really enjoy doing this in sketchbooks. When I'm drawing my characters and thinking up stories, sometimes I come across some words that someone's written, and I think, those words sound fantastic. So I just want to read to you some words I found. Just the other day, I found these words. They're written by a writer called Catherine Rundle, and she's written some lovely words. I just want to read them. And they're about I love bookshops, but what I love even more are libraries. I love libraries. Really exciting. Going to a library and borrowing books is just the best thing ever. It's wonderful. And so Catherine wrote, libraries when I was growing up were so good it seemed baffling. The world, which wasn't in my short experience known for giving something for nothing, was offering some of the best things in the world for free. I reveled in each shelf, in books full of hunger and jokes and hope. I still find libraries astonishing. I still think they speak of our better instincts. If books crowbar the world open for you, then libraries are a heist on the heart. If hope is a thing with feathers, then libraries are wings. What a lovely quote. And I just did a little drawing of Catherine reading these magical things called books. And this is why we're here. We're going to talk about books, and you're going to hear from some fantastic authors sharing their books with you. It is just the nicest thing to be in Glasgow with the sun shining. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Chris. Thank you. Chris Riddell! It's pretty good, right? It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So because we have so many authors on this morning, they're only allowed 12 minutes each. It's a really short amount of time. So if you see me creeping closer, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to get them to kind of stick to the time. So if they go way over, I'm literally going to just pick them up and throw them into the audience if they get to 15 minutes. But next up, she barely needs an introduction. She's so amazing. She has written over 100 books, including a book you may have heard of, The Story of Tracy Beaker. Yeah? Excellent from fans down there. Which has been made into a CBBC series, which I'm sure a lot of you have seen. She's absolutely fantastic, and we're so excited to have her here today. So please give a very warm welcome to Jacqueline Wilson.
Thank you very much, Sam. Hi, everybody. It's lovely for me to be here today, and it's fantastic to have such a huge, huge audience. Now, I wonder, how many of you would like to be writers too? Oh, that's wonderful, quite a lot of you. I wanted to be a writer ever since I was 6 years old. And I actually was quite lucky in that I managed to start my writing career quite young. I was only just 17. And I managed, because I'd written some short stories for a magazine that was published up in Scotland by D.C. Thompson's, and they offered me a job. Now, I lived down near London, and 17 isn't that old. And my mum was very worried about me coming up to Scotland to live here. And she said, I want you to live in a hostel, a girls' hostel, because she thought accurately that there would be a very strict matron who would keep her eye on me. And so I got the sleeper train from London all the way up to Dundee. And so I arrived very early in the morning, before 6 o'clock in the morning. And then when I stood on the platform at Dundee, I realized I didn't have a clue where this hostel was. And I didn't know which bus to take or anything. And so I thought, I have to take a taxi. And I'd never have been in a taxi in my life. And my mum had given me some money, to keep me going until I got my first wage packet. But I was terrified that I would run out of money. And so I sat in the taxi, I gave him the address of the Church of Scotland Girls' Hostel, but all the time I was looking at that meter on the taxi thinking, what if it's going to be more than the money I got in my pocket? Luckily, I had enough. I jumped out, I saw this huge forbidding building, and I went up to the door and knocked, forgetting how early it was. And eventually, the matron came to the door in her dressing gown and her curlers. And she peered at me and said, well, who are you? And apparently, the booking of the hostel had gone wrong. To this day, I don't know why. But she wasn't expecting me. And I said, but I've come to live here. And she said, well, you can't possibly come here to this hostel. I'm completely full up. I take 30 girls. I've got 30 girls here. There's no room for you. And I probably looked as if I was going to burst into tears. And so she took pity on me, took me inside, gave me a much-needed cup of tea, and said, well, you're quite small, and I have got a child's camp bed, but where could we put it for you? And then she suddenly said, I know, the linen cupboard. Now, that was a bit like, imagine your airing cupboard at home. And it was maybe a bit bigger than that. But there was just room to squash the camp bed in and me, and there were shelves going all the way round with the sheets and the blankets. And she said, you can put your things there. and that was it. I was stuck living in a cupboard. But in actual fact, very, very clever, because it was freezing cold in the hostel. The only really warm room was the linen cupboard because the hot pipes went all the way around. So everybody wanted to be my best friend so they could come in the warm room with me. So we had lots and lots of midnight feasts there, told each other stories and jokes and confided things about our best friends and our boyfriends. And I think those years in the linen cupboard were the happiest of my teenage years. But what I really, really wanted to do was actually get a book published. And I've now had over 100 books published. But I think the book that Sian mentioned when she introduced me, The Story of Tracy Beaker, is probably the one that people think of first. And I thought I'd tell you how I got the name of this little girl who lives in a children's home that she calls the dumping ground, and how she's desperate to be fostered. And I wanted a name that would really stick in people's minds. And so this was many years ago when I wrote this book, first of all. I thought, well, I'm going to have her called Tracy. Now, I wonder, are there any Tracys here today? Can't see any Tracys. Anyway, I thought, nice, modern, bouncy name, but I didn't know what her last name should be, her surname. And I was thinking about this one morning when I was lying in my bath. Now, I don't know about you, but I find lying back in a nice, hot, soapy bath a lovely experience, and I often get my best ideas when I'm lying there. However, it's okay for thinking up characters, okay for sorting out plots, not so good for finding a suitable surname. So there I was, lying in my bath, thinking, well, shall I call my girl Tracy Toothbrush, Tracy Tap, Tracy Face Cloth? And I thought these are all silly ideas, and then they got even sillier. I looked round and thought, shall I call her Tracy Toilet? And then I thought, no, absolutely not. So I got on with washing my hair with my shampoo, and then I reached for this old beaker that I kept on the end of the bath to put under the taps to sluice my hair clean. And then I just looked at the beaker, and I thought, Tracy Beaker? And somehow or other, it just seemed to have that quality that it was an odd name, but I thought, yep, this will make people remember my Tracy. And it jolly well did. And I've been so lucky with Tracy Beaker because there's been a long-running television serial, and there's even a spin-off series that's still now, The Dumping Ground, is on television. And there have been all sorts of things happening with Tracy. I've written 3 books about her, The Story of Tracy Beaker, The Dare Game, and starring Tracy Beaker. And later on this year, there's going to be a brand new book called My Mum, Tracy Beaker. And it's written by Tracy's daughter. So I've had great fun writing that story, and also just imagine what it would be like to have Tracy Beaker as your mum, because she's still quite feisty and she's quite mouthy at times, and I had great fun writing that story. I also write historical stories now. My most favorite character is Hetty Feather, who's a little foundling girl in the 1880s. She's stuck in this really grim institution, but she doesn't let it get her down. Maybe you've seen the Hetty Feather series on television. Maybe there's been a sort of travelling play of Hetty Feather. She's my lucky character, and I absolutely love her. And there've been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think 6 books about Hetty Feather. And in the last book, Hetty was about, I don't know, 16. So I thought, okay, Hetty, I'll put you on one side for now. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with you next. But she has a habit of popping up in all my other books too, because I decided I like writing about the Victorians. So after the last Hetty Feather book, I did a book called Clover Moon. Now, if you like a good cry, Clover Moon is the book for you, because it's a sad book. Though I promise it does have a happy ending. But Clover has a really difficult life. She lives in a grim alley in the East End of London. She doesn't have enough to eat. You know, she has to look after all her little brothers and sisters, and she has a horrible stepmother. But she actually ends up, at the end of the book, as a nursery maid, even though she's still only about 11, because Victorian times were very strange, in that if you were poor, it was considered perfectly okay for you to start earning your own living, and you only earned a tiny bit of money if you were 11. However, if you were rich, you certainly, girls, weren't supposed to work at all. And so at the end of Clover Moon, I decided that I was going to have my Clover being a nursery maid for this really rich family. And the eldest girl in this book is called Rose Rivers. And she seems to have everything any girl could ever wish for, but she's fed up because all rich girls were expected to do was loll around the house and be ladylike and chatter about their pretty dresses. And my Rose is bored with all that. She wants to do something exciting and special. And also, she's lonely. Everybody likes to have a best friend. Rose hasn't got anybody that she gets on with, but she makes great friends with Clover Moon. And rich girls aren't supposed to be friends with nursery maids, but they get on really well. And Rose Rivers is, I think, the only book of mine that's actually got a lot of interesting Scottish scenes, because they actually are a Scottish family, though they're living down in London, and they, every New Year, go on the train up to Dundee, where their grandparents have a huge house over at Broughty Ferry, and they celebrate the New Year there. And if this is a few years after the Tay Bridge disaster, so when they're going on the train, they all hold hands because everybody's terrified of going over the new bridge. And at this New Year's Eve party, I have the most astonishing and amazing thing happens, which changes Rose's life forever, but kind of in a good way, though she doesn't realize it at the time. And talking of time, I've got to make sure that I'm going to nip off stage. I don't want Sean to push me off. I've just got one other book to talk to you about, which is a book called Wave Me Goodbye, which is about children being evacuated in the Second World War. And I expect here in Glasgow, lots of children were sent off to be safe in the countryside. And so in this book, my girl Shirley and a boy called Archie and a boy called Kevin are all sent off with their schools to the countryside. And when that happened, you just had a little suitcase with you, and apart from a change of clothes, you had to have just one toy and one book. And I'm a bookworm, and hopefully lots of you are. So how on earth would you ever choose just one book when you're going off for weeks, months, maybe some children were away all the year round? So I think it's a good thing. I'd like all of you to think of which book you would ever take with you if you had to go on such an astonishing journey. But now there are lots of other fantastic authors for you to listen to, so it's time for me to wave you goodbye. Bye.
So much, Jacqueline. Jacqueline Wilson! Oh, one book. I don't think I could choose one book. That would be too hard. So next up, we have an author, an illustrator, and a dragon tamer. Some of you might know who I mean. Her books, How to Train Your Dragon, were inspired by a childhood running around. You've got one right there. You know who it is. We're inspired by her childhood running around on a remote Scottish island. So let's give a very big Viking welcome to Cressida Cowell.
Hello. Hello. Hi. Thank you so much. Yes, I'm Cressida Cowell, and I am the author and the illustrator of the How to Train Your Dragon books, which means that I do the pictures as well as write the stories. Oh, hang on, but I've got to get... Yeah, but before I start, I thought I'd get us in a dragony type of mood by showing you a clip from How to Train Your Dragon 2. I love the films, by the way, and this is a flying scene. I'm particularly keen on the flying scenes because I can't do a flying scene in a book. It's just a bunch of description. But in a film, you really feel like you're flying on the back of a dragon. And this is a clip from How to Train Your Dragon 2. I love the films partly because they're very close to the vision of the books, which is that they are funny and they're exciting, but they move you. They're heartwarming at the same time. So this is How to Train Your Dragon 2.
Bud. You want to give this a shot? Toothless. It'll be fine. Ready? So that's the film of How to Train Your Dragon 2. And the film of How to Train Your Dragon 3 is coming out next March. And it's going to be fantastic, I have to say. So I'm going to take you way back before there were the films. And these are the books, these are the words I wrote about 20 years ago. These are the very first words about How to Train Your Dragon. There were dragons when I was a boy. There were great grim sky dragons that nested on the cliff tops like gigantic scary birds. Little brown scuttly dragons that hunted down the mice and rats in well-organized packs. Preposterously huge sea dragons that were 20 times as big as the big blue whale and who killed for the fun of it. You will have to take my word for it, for the dragons are disappearing so fast, they may soon become extinct. Nobody knows what is happening. They're crawling back into the sea, leaving not a bone, not a fang in the earth for the men of the future to remember them by. So, in order that these amazing creatures should not be forgotten, I will tell this true story from my childhood. I was not the sort of boy who could train a dragon with a mere lifting of an eyebrow. I was not a natural at the heroism business. I had to work at it. This is the story of becoming a hero the hard way. I read you that bit because this sort of is a true story from my childhood, which sounds very unlikely, I know. But this is a picture of me, and in this picture I'm about, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. Anybody in this room who's about 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old? Quite a lot of you. I'm in the right place. And notice, in this picture I'm writing. And all the pictures of me at that age, I'm writing or I'm drawing or I'm making things up. Who here likes writing and drawing and likes making things up and would sort of like to be a writer or an illustrator or... Quite a lot of you. That's fantastic because I wish I could go back in time and tell that kid, one day you'll be a writer. She would not have believed you, yeah? because, sorry teachers, close your ears for a second. My handwriting was terrible, yeah? And I say that because I don't want a kid who struggles with handwriting or with reading to think that they can't be a writer. At the end of the day, it's not about your handwriting, it's about your ideas, yeah? It's about your ideas. And I'm writing in rather an amazing place. I grew up in London in a house without a garden because my dad worked in London. But that was where his job was. But my dad's heart was in the wilderness. And what that meant in practical terms was that every year, from when I was a baby, we would be dropped off here on this uninhabited island off the west coast of Scotland, okay? There is nothing on that island, okay? No houses, no roads, no Tesco's, no mobile phones. Back in the 1970s, we were dropped off by a local boatman and picked up again 2 weeks later. Yeah? Who thinks that would be really cool? Who thinks my parents were crazy? Yeah, they were crazy. What were they thinking? What if somebody broke a leg? But incredibly experience for a kid. This is quite near Mull, by the way, this little island. You see, so small that you can see sea all around you. And that little house, do you think, see that little thing that looks a bit like a tooth? That's a house. This house that my dad had built on the island. And from when I was 9, my dad then got a boat so we could go out to sea to catch fish, to eat, and things like that. And so then we spent the whole summer on that island, yeah? Imagine. And in that house, I'll let you into a secret, there is no television. A whole summer on an island with no television on it. Who would like that? Yes, me. Because this is a picture of me and my brother and sister running wild all over that little island, because this was the 1970s, guys. And I'll let you into a secret about the 1970s. The notion of childcare in the 1970s was to open the front door, boot the kids out, and say, bye, kids. Come back when you're hungry. Don't fall off a cliff. Who thinks that would be so cool? Yeah. Okay, so, and this was the place that the Vikings came to when they first invaded Great Britain, and the last place they left. So real Vikings would have lived on that island, and the Vikings believed that dragons really existed. And I used to think, well, why not? Why shouldn't dragons exist? And there was a story in a local from a nearby island, which said about a dragon who had turned into a mountainside. Can anybody see something weird about that cliff behind that little house? It looks like a dragon. And I used to imagine on stormy nights, what if the sound of the storm was the sound of the dragon shaking off its rocky incarnation and waking up? You can see where these stories came from. I don't think I've got time to do the dragonese. Through these books, you can learn a whole language called Dragonese. Maybe I'll do a little bit of Dragonese because people like them. No, actually, I haven't got time. Haven't got time. I've got to tell you about wizards. So yes, so this is the film of How to Train Your Dragon, third one coming out. This is me with the director, Dean. I'm really good friends with the director and the whole team there. And I show you that so that you know that Hollywood seems so glamorous, but actually this is something that you could do. These are just ordinary people like you and me. And this is this is me at DreamWorks talking about Wizards of Once, which is my new book series, which is, DreamWorks have already bought the film rights. I know. They're making a film of Wizards of Once already. How unlikely is that? So yes, so this is my new book series, which is set in the Iron Ages about, 3,000 years ago, at Wizards of Once. And it begins, once there was magic. It was a long, long time ago in a British Isles so old it did not know it was the British Isles yet, and the magic lived in the dark forests. There were many types of humans living in the wildwoods. The wizards, who were magic, the wizards live on the left-hand side of the map, and the warriors, who were not. Okay, so the wizards had lived in the wildwoods for as long as anyone could remember, and they were intending to live there forever, along with all the other magic things, until the warriors came. The warriors invaded from across the seas, and though they had no magic, they brought a new weapon that they called iron. And iron was the only thing that magic would not work on. So these two heroes are from two very different worlds. It's the story of a young boy wizard, that's Tsar on the left, and a young girl warrior who have been taught since birth to hate each other like poison. Yeah? They've been taught to hate each other because the wizards and warriors are fighting each other. And Tsar is not like Hiccup. He's very, very naughty, Tsar. And I'll give you an example of how, yes, he's the most disobedient boy in the Wizard Kingdom in about 4 generations. In the past week, Tsar had tied the beards of 2 of the eldest and most respectable wizards together when they were sleeping at a banquet. He had poured a love potion into the pigs' feeding trough, so the pigs developed mad, passionate crushes on Tsar's least favourite teacher and followed him around wherever he went, making loud, enthusiastic, squealing and kissing noises. Okay, so he's very disobedient, and the girl wish is from a warrior. Oh, yes, and he has no magic. And he would do anything to get it. Because the magic of wizards doesn't come in till they're about 12 or 13. They're not born with magic. And so Tsar will do anything to get magic. Yeah? And the girl wishes from a warrior tribe, but she owns a banned magical object. And she will do anything to conceal it. Okay, so I have it. Okay, the story begins with the discovery of a gigantic black feather. I've got to show the trailer, and I've got until 11:49, okay? So, could this feather really be the feather of a witch? Okay, I'll give you a clue. It could. These are all Tsar's companions, his giant, his raven. Those are his sprites. Yeah, and that's Wish's enchanted object, which is a spoon that just happens to be alive. Those are spoon moods: anxious, sad, sleepy, excited. And the next one is coming out this September. The Wizards of Once Twice Magic. And, oh, I haven't got time to tell you about free... What? Really? Oh, yes, I want to just quickly tell you about Free Writing Friday, which is my new thing, new campaign. Who would like a book that every Friday you could write in for 15 minutes and you could write whatever you wanted and the teachers couldn't mark? No rules, no marking. Teachers, you can put your hands up as well. No marking, just fun. That's my campaign. Yes! And here's the book trailer for Wizards of Once, which, oh no, which, can we quickly play the book trailer? Yeah. 60 seconds.
Cressida Cowell, everybody!
Thank you. Thank you.
Cressida Cowell, everybody! Free Writing Friday sound amazing. We should all get together next week and do that. Sounds great. Thank you so much, Cressida. I'm sorry that we're having to rush through people, but are you ready for another author? So your next author really hates school dinners. Some of you might sympathize. She is a Blue Peter Book Award winner, and she gets her slightly weird ideas from some very strange places. So please put your hands together and welcome Pamela Butchart to the stage.
Hello! Oh my goodness. Wow, this is so exciting. This place is absolutely massive. Can anybody hear from my accent where I might be from? Can we have hands up in the air if you recognise this lovely accent? I'm going to go with the boy with the white shirt on his hand just there. Shout it out. Fife, close. Anybody from Fife here today? Hands in the air like you just don't care if you're from Fife. One Fifer. Is that it? Any guess where I might be from with an accent as beautiful as this one? Chris Riddell loves it. I'm going to teach him how to speak in this accent later. Dundee! Hands up if you are from Dundee. Any Dundonians? Yeah! Awesome! Oh! Hi, Dundee! Okay. So, my name's Pamela Butchart, and I make up loads of stuff. I make up stories. I make up tales. I sometimes even make up words. And in Dundee, we like to make up words a lot. Hands up if you think you'd ever like to visit me in Dundee. Hands up if you'd like to come along and speak from my books. If you decide to walk from really far away, for example, who here is actually, unbelievably, amazingly, all the way from the Highlands? Anybody from the Highlands? I think you should have a noise. Can you moo if you're from the Highlands? Love it. Can you meow if you've come all the way from Edinburgh? Can you make the noise of a budgie if you've come from Dundee? Fifers, can you roar like a lion? Glaswegians, can you be little puppy dogs for me? And everybody from everywhere else, pick an animal sound and make it now. Wonderful! Right, well, I wonder if there's anyone here who's ever heard of any of my books. Hands up if you heard of Phantom Lollipop Man. Wow, I have a lot of publicists in the audience. Can you stand up, my sweetheart? Stand up. What's your name? Caitlin, could you just turn around like this and show everyone the Phantom Lollipop Man? And can everyone else just do a dramatic gasp? That's how awesome it is, people. So they're all about Izzy. But Izzy has some friends, Zach, Izzy, Maisie, and Jodie. And we have Baby Alien's Got My Teacher. This is fun, I like this. The Spy Who Loves School Dinners. Thank you. I wonder which one will get the biggest clap, the biggest round of applause, or the biggest squeal. We also have My Head Teacher is a Vampire Rat. Do we have any head teachers in the house? Head teachers, if you're here right now, I want you to bark as loud as you can as a dog. Go. Whoa. Attack of the Demon Dinner Ladies. Too wee or not too wee? This is a Shakespeare book. Give a shout if you've read this one. There's a werewolf in my tent. And my World Book Day only cost £1. I remember we had all that snow, and everybody went a bit wild, and we got stuck on trains and stuff. Hands up if you read this, The Baby Brother from Outer Space. Now, this has never happened before, and it'll never happen again, probably. Would you like to meet the real, no joke, totally true, the real baby alien from outer space? When I was writing this book, I had a little alien in my tummy. True story. And look at this. He's not an alien, really is. He's a baby, but his name kind of sounds like alien because his name's Albie. Is that cute? Albie. He's never been in front of 2,000 people before. Can you say hi, Albie? Give him a little wave. And as he's going, make your best alien noise. You said hi. You said hello. Right. Oh, it's so cool I got to show you. Now, when I've got 2 minutes left, the lovely Shan is going to come over here and she's going to dance. And you say, hi, Shan, and that'll remind me I've got 2 minutes left. Then when I've only got 30 seconds left, Shan's going to go like this. Stop, 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 okay? Because sometimes I speak too much. I speak quite a lot, don't I? And I speak for Scotland. Right, okay. Now, oh, the Phantom Lollipop Man? That's a brand new one. Now, what all the books have in common is they're all about primary school. They're all about where you've come from today and where you're going back to today. Because when I'm not writing books and feeding little baby aliens, I am a teacher. Do you think I'd be a good teacher? Do you think I'd be a really strict teacher? Oh, well, do you think I'd be like Miss Jones? There's a policeman in here who looks a bit like the moon. Hands up if you've ever met somebody who does look a bit like the moon. You just can't describe it. You can't explain it. I know what you mean. We also have, oops, my clicker, Mrs. Seath. Hands up if you've got a really scary depute head. Sorry, I forgot to say, teachers, put your hand up if you've got a really scary depute head. There we go. Phantom Lollipop Man, Demon Dinner Ladies, a vampire rat who's a head teacher, there's drama, panic, chaos. The office ladies have even got some hairy toes. Lots of stuff happens, like the time they went on a camping trip and they found a giant poo. It was so big that no human could have done that, not even a teacher. And that's when they knew that there was a werewolf on their campsite and it was up to them to save the school. Now, people ask me where I get my weird and wacky and wild ideas from, and do you know what? I'm just going to show you, okay? I need, from all these people, 2,000 people, one person to come up on stage. You've got your hands up. You've got no clue what I'm going to make you do, so you're totally up for it. I am going to choose... It's hard to see. Let's see. The girl with the red ribbon in her hair here, red bow, yep. Give her a massive round of applause. Up you come. Thank you. Remember, when we see Shan, we say, hi, Shan, because that's 2 minutes left. Now, I have a bag of crisps. Where do I get my ideas from? The answer to that is everywhere. Hands up if sometimes you want to write a story on the computer or on a piece of paper. You can put your hand around me. We're pals now. And hands up if you want to write a story and you don't know what to do. And it's quite scary. Hands up if, like me, you're really bad at spelling. Hands up if, yeah. Hands up if you get stuck sometimes so you just give up. Right, we can fix all of that. We can fix all of that. Anybody can write a book. I believe that. You just need an imagination. Can we point to our heads? Keep your fingers up here if you think you actually do have quite a wild imagination. And sometimes you think things and you think that's actually really weird. Right, bag of crisps. And your name is? Martina. You can speak into my Britney Spears mic.
Martina.
Martina. Martina, take the bag of crisps. Martina got up today, she brushed her teeth, she had no idea she was going to be famous on stage. In your own time, when you feel ready, you're going to go ahead and open that bag of crisps. Drum roll, please. Dramatic gasp. That was totally terrible. Much better, dramatic gasp. This is a normal bag of crisps, isn't it? Smell them. Are you allowed to eat crisps? Do you like salt and vinegar crisps? Can you eat one? We'll listen for the crunch to make sure they are real crisps. I heard that. Did you hear that? Yes. Right. Okay. Pop that one back in. You can have it later. Those are yours to keep forever. Sorry, Thomas. You're not getting your crisp back. Right. Martina, feet together. Eyes closed. Feel the magic. Send magic Martina's way, please. Put your hand in and pick out the crisp that's going to change our lives. Go big or go home. I don't want you to go home, so go big. There we go. Put one. Hold it right up in the air like you just don't care. Dramatic gasp. Oh, that was better. Behold! Wow, you've actually really picked, you can open your eyes now, sorry. You've actually really picked a good one. Look at that. Now, you're going to have a look, if you can't see it from where you are, it's got two spiky bits that come up like ears, isn't it? I think that we could use just this crisp to make a super quick story today in Glasgow that nobody's ever made before, okay? And I'm going to bring out Shan. It's going to pop out for 2 seconds because she's lovely, and I'm going to put her on the spot. This is not the 10 minutes. Shan's going to start our story. Shan's going to pick a beach or a thunderstorm somewhere and she's going to start the story, then she's going to pass it to Martina, and then she's going to pass it to me, and we're just going to make it up on the spot right now. On you go, Shan.
So it was quite a stormy night, and we were standing on the edge of a cliff.
Do you see that? How it just starts at a really exciting bit.
Edge of a cliff. There we go, your turn.
And then we fell off the cliff and went into the water.
Fell off the cliff and went into the water. And when we landed in the water, it was actually really dark in the water, but then all of a sudden, something yellow and glowy started to come closer and closer, and I couldn't quite make it out, but it had kind of spiky ears. And then I turned to my friend Jodie and I said, OMG, I have just realized what's coming towards us, and I am scared because it is who's going to finish the story? Hands up. It is does the mic work down there? Can we run down and pick somebody? It is
Crisp.
It's a crisp. It's also a monster crisp. Hands up if you think the monster crisp ate us and we all died. Hands up if you... Hands up if you think the monster crisp was a goodie and he gave us a big slobbery kiss. Hands up if you can go back to your primary schools or back home and you can pick the story up from where we left off and write about or draw about what happened next. Give yourselves a round of applause for making a story together with just a crisp. I'll keep this. You can keep them. Give me a high five. Awesome. Am I 2 minutes?
That's 1 minute.
1 minute. Thank you. Round of applause for Martina. So, I also get my ideas from yucky school dinners like shepherd's pie. Hands up if the school dinners at your school are sometimes okay, but sometimes totally yucky. Yep, you can write about them. I also had a pet rat when I was young. That's me when I'm 11, and I had a pet rat, and I used to write my head teacher's a vampire rat because of my pet. Hands up if you got a pet that you could write about. Turn your pet into a monster or a vampire. Pugs. Now it's time with 30 seconds to go to use your imagination now. So I'm going to show you a picture, and I want you to put your hand up if you have an idea for a story. Does this give you an idea? Does this give you an idea? Hands up if you think they are enemies. Hands up if you think they're long-lost dog lovers, boyfriend, girlfriend, boyfriend, boyfriend, girlfriend, girlfriend. Hands up if you can see the baby aliens' heads that are in this lady's knees. And hands up if you could write about that. I've been Pamela Butchart. You've been wonderful. Give yourselves a round of applause. Bye, Dundee.
Let's have one more round of applause for Pamela. How good was that? Whoa. We just all need to go away now and write a lot of stories. That is what we need to do next. Okay, so next up for our last performance, we don't have one author. We've got two authors. Make a noise. Oh my goodness. And it's all about to kick off here at the Scottish Friendly Children's Book 20th Anniversary Jamboree. They are just getting their microphones on, so I'm just going to check that they're all ready. So you might be able to guess who's coming up next. They have written for TV. They have written for film. They have written so many graphic novels. Who do you think it is? What's your name? Rebecca got it absolutely right. They are going to be giving you a whistle-stop tour of comic creation. Rebecca knows who it is. It is the Etherington Brothers!
Hello! Hello! This is a Royal Concert Hall. This building was built to contain sound. You've done pretty well. Now let's tear the roof off this thing. 3, 2, 1, scream! Yeah. And that is what we're talking about.
That's good.
Okay.
That's good.
Welcome, everyone. We are the Etherington Brothers. We make comic books and graphic novels and illustrated novels for a job. This is our job. We do it every single day. We've worked on loads of different stuff, and I'm just going to list some of it. If you
let's check we've got the right people.
We can't even do that.
Let's check we've got the right people.
We're going to check they're right.
Check we've got the right people. Yeah.
All right. We're just going to do a quick check to make sure you're the right audience. It's a little late in the day, but if you're not the right audience, what we're going to do is we're going to load you all into a massive cannon and then fire you straight into the sun. Is that okay? All right.
I think they're the right audience.
Hands up if you have heard of Transformers. That was me being a robot in disguise as an idiot. Really good, yeah? Well, we have made Transformers comics. Hands up if you've heard of Star Wars. We have made Star Wars comics. Keep your hand up if you've heard of Madagascar, Kung Fu Panda, Wallace and Gromit, Angry Birds. Double hands up and double feet up, trying not to kick the head off the person in front of you. If you've heard of, and I think you have, How to Train Your Dragon! And relax. We've created comic books and graphic novels based on all this stuff, okay, which is great. It's amazing. But the most fun we've ever had is making up our own stories, okay? And we've learnt an awful lot while we've been doing it. And we're here today to give you a whistle-stop tour. Slide one. Sorry, Lorenzo, you got the slider there. Whoop. I should have that clicker.
Yeah.
That should be clicking on. There we are. We're going to give you a whistle-stop tour of not the greatest comic-making show, because we don't have time for that, but the shortest. So that's fun, isn't it? Okay, and we're going to get right into it, aren't we? We don't have time for anything else. We've got to jump straight into this thing. So let's have a little look. We're just going to do a little bit here, just a couple of things. What we are all about is helping you guys make your own amazing work, your own amazing drawings, your own amazing writing. We want to give you the tools to make your stories as good as they possibly can. And we're going to talk a little bit about some ways we can approach that today. And we're going to begin with one of our favorites, which is stuff.
So yeah, we're going to give you a couple of tips. These are things which you can use when you're making your own stories, you're making your own comics, you're drawing your own pictures, which will instantly start your imagination jumping into amazing places. So stuff. What is stuff? Stuff is basically things, objects, items. A phone is a piece of stuff. A water bottle is pretty much anything your characters can pick up and use is stuff. It's sometimes called props. And what props are really good for in stories is kind of sending your characters in a different direction and making them get creative. So if I said to you guys, you're going for a lovely day at the beach, you know, what's the sort of thing you'd always take for a nice day at the beach? You might say beach ball, shh. You might say beach ball, towel, suntan lotion, all these things, very good for a day at the beach. But if I said to you, what is the last thing you would ever pack for a day at the beach? Hands up. What is the last thing you'd ever pack when you went to the beach?
What you'd never take? What would you never take?
You're going to choose?
I'm going to take one over
you
here.
You have to be quite quiet.
Quiet, guys, we've got to hear this. Yes.
So we can hear.
A laptop. Well, you might. I mean, you might.
I think we need something more creative than that. Let's have something big.
It's a hot day at the beach. What you're not going to take? Yes. A comic? You might.
What I was hoping you'd say is like box of scorpions, a demigod.
I want one more.
You might not take.
Tomato.
Tomato. I never take a tomato to the beach. Okay, you get the idea. But why is this important? It's important because giving your character the wrong prop can make your story come back to life. You ever been writing a story, you're not sure where it's going to go? Give them the wrong prop. So, Robin's going to go parachuting. If I said to you guys, what's the one thing he wants?
I'm going to do what?
You're going to go parachuting.
Parachuting.
Is that okay? Is that okay if he goes parachuting? It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. Peer group pressure wins. So, what does Robin want to come out of his backpack when he goes parachuting? A parachute. Okay, obviously. Hands up. What's the last thing he wants to come out of his backpack when he jumps over that plane?
What's the last thing I would expect to come out of my parachute bag? Okay, I'm going to choose my own fate here. This is a very dangerous thing. Never choose your own fate. Yes, boy here. A sock! A sock!
We've got to go with it.
All right.
Okay, get in the plane, get in the plane.
Okay, get in the plane, I'm in the plane. Come here. Okay, here we are. This parachute does feel a little bit light.
It's our new light as a sock parachute fabric. We've been working on it for a while.
Lovely. Here we are, 30,000 feet above the Royal Concert Hall. Oh, yeah, I'm going to try and land on the head of the least interested teacher.
Oh, lots of choices.
Plenty of choices!
Okay, here we go.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, pull! Sock! It's a sock! It's not be a person! And it's a sock! Okay, but I'm still falling. I have to solve this in real time with a sock. Okay, well, I'm falling very fast. Well, let's have a look. I mean, if I open a sock and I turn it upside down, what does it become? A parachute, right? There's absolutely no way that this is going to go horribly. Sock! Brains.
Okay, so what you saw there is that giving your character the wrong prop gets them to start thinking. Now, our character wasn't very creative, but if we'd given him a live monkey or something like that, he could probably have to even make it even more complicated and difficult trying to save himself. But the idea is that you never give your character the thing they need in your story. If your character is standing in front of a locked door, never give them a key.
Give them a fish. Have you ever tried to open a door with a fish? Let's give that a go, shall we? Come on, Goldie. It's all right. There we are. Just walk you up to it. Goldie! Can you reach the key? Oh, sweet Goldie.
Okay, so that is stuff. Right now, we're doing a very short version of our show today. So
I love that, Goldie.
Sections. So our second section we're going to talk about is choices.
Choices.
Our lives are filled with choices. Your lives are filled with choices every single day. Choices that are very important you don't realize you're making. I wake up in the morning, I can get out of the left side of the bed or the right side of the bed. Now, if I get out of the right side of the bed, I fall out the window, but it's still a choice. It's still a choice I can make once, just once, mind you, but still a choice. So, choices are very important in stories, and why are they important? Because they get engagement from your readers, which means your readers start to think, what would I do in that situation? And there are the right type of choices in stories and the wrong type, and we're going to show you, hopefully now, an example of how to find the right type of choice. So, Robin, start telling a story now.
Okay. Let's imagine we're creating like a choose-your-own-adventure, and we're creating it together, okay? And we're going to use this picture up here as our inspiration, and we've got a kind of a fantasy setting, so we've been telling a fantasy story. And let's imagine at the beginning of our story that our heroes and heroines have just learnt about the ultimate treasure in the universe, okay? And they've heard about this thing, and they like the taste of it. They want some of that good treasure, okay? And they know it's in a treasure chest, and they know that it's locked in a tower, tallest tower of this ancient fortress, okay? So they've journeyed all across the land and they find themselves outside the fortress and they can see the tower and they know that the treasure's up there, okay? But they're not there yet, all right? Because surrounding this tower all the way around is a 200-foot high stone wall, okay? And there's just one doorway in. So we approach the door and try the handle and the handle's locked, okay? So we think, well, we're polite adventurers, so we'll give it a knock, you know, just to see if anybody's at home. Got to leave it a little bit, haven't you, just in case they're upstairs, on the toilet, doing a one, you know, give them a bit of time. But not too much time, because it's boring, so we knock again. Give them a little bit longer that time, just in case they are still upstairs, still on the toilet, doing numero deux. Well, we get a bit bored at this point, like all good adventurers, and you look around, and there in the dirt beside the door, we see 2 toothpicks. And we're thinking to ourselves, that is some mighty strange place to keep a toothpick. Yep. We're going to give it one more knock, just to hurry them along, just in case they're still upstairs, still on the toilet, doing a 3. What's a 3, you say? It's both ends, okay? And you've got to clean it up, but don't do it like this, okay? Now, okay, you've got a choice. Choice number 1. Do you want to keep knocking on the door to the end of the time in the hope that the person who owns the castle gets off the toilet and comes down and answers the door before you collapse into a pile of blood and guts and bones? Or, choice number 2, do you want to pick up the toothpicks and try and scale a 200-foot high wall? Hands up who wants to keep knocking on the door. A few hands, all right. Who wants to pick up the toothpicks and try and scale the 200-foot high wall? Yes!
Okay, so you get the toothpicks and you begin to scale the wall. Not easy scaling a wall, doing it for everybody. This is how it looks. Not easy at the best of times. You finally get to the top and you're standing on the top of this 200-foot high wall and there's a 200-foot drop beneath you and you look up and you think, I'm still not at the tower. And you suddenly see a staircase and it arcs up, all the way up to the tower. And you think at a rough count, there's about 1,000 stairs. You think, like, well, I could take the steps, but hey, look, there's a cannon here. I could shoot myself out the cannon into the tower. Hands up who wants to take the stairs. Nothing wrong with that. Good cardio, good workout. Hands up who wants to shoot themselves out of a cannon.
Yes, it's cannon time! Yeah! Okay, let's get in this cannon. Funky, funky cannon. Okay. Always get stuck when I get to the bottom. All right. I'm in the cannon. And I can see the tower. I know the treasure's in the tower. And I can see a stained glass window in the middle of the tower. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, that's my point of entry, okay? So I move the cannon a bit to the left, bit to the right, forwards. Okay, I'm lined up with the stained glass window. And now, I've got to light this cannon, and I've got to set fire to it. Let's see if I've got some matches in my pocket. I do. Open this up. Let's have a go. Let's get a match lit. Oh, no. Don't worry. I'll light another match. I'll light another match.
One match left.
No problems. Oh, no. Let's just take a little look, shall we? One match left. Everybody, hold your breath. Yes, the taper's lit. The taper, she is a-burning. Burny, burny, burny. All the way down to the bottom. Okay, I'm sitting in the cannon. I'm looking at the tower. About halfway down the burning taper, I start thinking to myself, I am not, I'm not entirely sure oh dear, that this right here is a particularly good idea. Through the window I fly! My bum's on fire! Broken glass everywhere! Thank you very much. That's what we call polite applause. You can go higher! And low! I'm in the tower, I'm covered in glass, I'm alive, I see the treasure chest at the end of the corridor, and there are beams of ethereal light flowing from the treasure chest. I'm so close, but stretched from me all the way down the corridor to the treasure chest is the biggest, meanest, angriest looking snake I have ever seen. So, choices. Choice number one. Do I sit down with the snake and try and work out its problems? I mean, why are you so angry? Why are you so angry? Mr. Snake, why are you so angry? What's that? Say that again. Your mother didn't, what? Your mother didn't buy you a pony? Your mother, Mrs. Snake, didn't buy you, little snake, a pony? How do you even ride a pony? Oh, just one stirrup, okay. Do we talk about the snake's problems? Or, choice number two, do I just curl up in a ball, let the snake swallow me, and 3 days later poo me out right next to the treasure? Hands up who wants to work out the snake's problems. More hands going up now. And hands up who wants to get pooed out next to a treasure.
All right, we're not going to show that. We're not going to show that. Have we got time for one more?
We got time.
We
got time.
2 minutes?
We're good.
Is that too long? Say
We're
no
good.
if not.
We're doing it.
No.
We can't do that.
No, we haven't got time.
Bam.
Haven't got time.
We have.
Haven't got time.
We have.
All right, we're going to very quickly, in 60 seconds, show you why we love comics, because you can fit anything in them. Robin's going to provide sound effects. Hopefully it will be enjoyable. In your comics, you guys can get action, danger.
Oh, you've got to warm up first before you do that.
Comedy.
I'm not joking, you've really got to warm up first.
Romance. Monsters.
This is what it feels like.
Monsters. Mayhem. Heroes. Villains. Wild beasts.
What?
Wild beasts.
I'm not doing that again.
Cursed sausages.
Sizzle.
Cursed sausages. Do it again. Do it again. It's the end of the show. Quickly, do it again. Do it again. Cursed sausages.
Sizzle.
Oh, never mind. Okay, we'll jump to the next one. Legendary weapons.
Sizzle!
Ancient civilizations.
I am old.
Future worlds.
I am new.
Talking cats.
I said meow. Mm-hmm. I did. I said meow. A little bit earlier, when your back was turned, I kind of went for ages for no apparent reason. Mainly, though, I just said meow. And there was that moment when you were in the kitchen trying to make that cup of tea and you weren't paying attention. I tried to stick a knife in your back. Because all cats are evil.
Terrifying evil.
Cats!
and massive piles of hidden treasure. We have
treasure.
been the Etherington Brothers.
You guys have been absolutely amazing today. For everyone you've just seen, rip it up!
Okay, we want to quickly take a selfie with you guys going bonkers in the background.
Last tiny request. We are going to take a picture now.
Are you ready?
Wait, we're going to do a pop on here, We're
do
going
it
to take a picture, and we're going to get a picture of everybody in here.
Okay,
and
so
we want you guys to go absolutely mental, okay?
Okay, this is the
So
biggest crowd we've played to.
When we say, wait. When we say mental, go mental. Mental!
Yeah! Thank you. Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Woo! The Etherington Brothers, everybody. So I hope that you're all feeling inspired to go and read a book, go and write a book, go and illustrate a book. But before we go, do you think we should get all of the authors back on to say goodbye? Yeah? Okay, can we please welcome back to stage Chris Riddell, Jacqueline Wilson, Cressida Cowell, Pamela Butchart, and the Etherington Brothers, who won't be a minute, come back on! Give them a huge round of applause. How good were they? And can we all, including the authors, do a goodbye wave to everyone who's been watching on YouTube at the back? There we go. Give them a big wave as well. Bye! Thank you so much for watching. Beautiful. And can we say a very, very big thank you to our pals at Scottish Friendly, from everyone at the Scottish Book Trust. Thank you so much to Scottish Friendly for making this all possible. Thank you so much, authors. Enjoy the rest of your day. Off you go. There you go. Go write more books. Go and write. Write books. So, bye everyone on YouTube. I'm going to do boring housekeeping stuff now. Bye everyone. So we've got a little bit of housekeeping. The teachers and adults might be more interested in this next bit, sorry. We're going to be starting the signing in 15 minutes. So please stay seated until you're